The best time to start climbing for Season 13 is now, and I've accumulated some of the best coaching moments for the most improved players that I coached this year in Season 12 to show you where you can start already, no matter what your ELO, no matter what your MMR. These coaching nuggets of wisdom will help you improve immediately and allow you to start focusing on reaching your peak in Season 13. And let me know in the comments, did you reach your goals in Season 12? What are your goals for Season 13? And as you all know, the best time to start working out, the best time to start improving was yesterday. The second best time, that's today. And don't forget to go to my live companion Zara.gg guides for all junglers. If you want to properly maximize your jungler with the best routes, items, builds, ganking tier list, and game plan making advice, as well as jungle macro and pathing suggestions as the game state changes, with over 75,000 games and 15,000 players who have used these guides. Some even to climb to master, a lot to climb to gold, and many to climb to diamond. Along with the fully customizable in-game tips from Zara.gg itself, you can basically tailor-make all the suggestions to yourself, plus the jungle tips that I give you with each guide specifically made for your champion with a full list of counter tips to the jungle you're facing. It is the best live coach you can have at your fingertips no matter what your rank, no matter what champion you're playing, because we have jungle guides for literally almost every champion. I say almost because we're still fleshing it out, about 10 or 15 more to go. If you play a lot of champions, you can buy them individually. You can try all of them for free, and if you just want to use all of them because you play all of the junglers, there's a subscription that allows you access to all. Click the link in the description below to head to my live companion Zara.gg Jungle Companion Guides. And all of the coaching tips, the 5 coaching tips in this video that I'm going to be highlighting, are specifically light bulb moments that these players had from many sessions or just one session that basically said, I get it now, and they were able to climb afterwards by focusing on this particular facet. And in this first one, we have here basically what he self-classified as a Jekyll Hyde player, where you'd have like horrific games where just nothing works, and other games where you're just in the flow state always, continuously. And what allowed him to hit that flow state was a tip in this particular session that you're seeing on your screen now. And what I loved about this particular session was that it was a live coaching session followed by the VOD review. And what we focused on over many sessions was kind of optimizing that game plan, that early game, and we went from having absolutely horrific starts to having great starts. But the biggest issue was we didn't keep that flow of decision making. For example, you'd gank top lane, see the enemy jungler bottom lane, you press tab and check their CS, but you wouldn't actually. In your mind you did, but you didn't physically do it live, and thus you missed the opportunity to take his tier 2 Krugs, his tier 1 Krugs if they're still up, maybe even the second Raptors, translate that to a gank in the mid lane, and then you can collapse on them while they're in your jungle, and that's the kind of stuff we wanted to focus on. And this happens to many players, not just in Platinum Gold, it happens in Diamonds, it happens to Master tier junglers as well. Essentially, the crux of the point came down to pushing the map and flow decision making to push jungle advantages. That means when you make a good play coming out of your jungle, using the outside in rule, it doesn't matter, you're able to translate that into further leads just by seeing where they are, pressing tab and tracking that information. Effectively, you move from controlling your own house, your jungle, to controlling the river, to then controlling their jungle. And you live in that arena and you use those ganking angles and pathing angles to kill another lane, to push a tower, to take a dragon, to kind of trap them into forcing them to going into only one quadrant. These kinds of advantages allowed him to see the flow state significantly better. And don't forget, all of these coaching sessions in full are available on my Patreon along with coaching signups. So if you want coaching for the beginning of Season 13, you can head there, but also just to see the full sessions here. Alternatively, I will link main channel videos that have explored these concepts in full, so if you want to basically take this and say, yes, that's my issue as well, how can I learn it? I'll link those below for you too. The second example here is a Gold Kindred player who became Platinum this season, and you know what, the issue wasn't necessarily the Kindred play. He would always find a way of getting fed, or at least being useful to the team. He'd play win condition Kindred sometimes, which is a bit weird to think about when you know that they're a hyper carry jungler, but what would happen is these early bad decisions and game plans would lead to mechanical mistakes that just put himself behind, always. And then you would look to hunt marks as best you could to capitalize on what you could. You wouldn't be able to have that predatorial, carnivorous Kindred game style that we wanted. You know, sometimes we would just die. And the light bulb moment for us was fixing the mechanical mistakes by breaking down all of the, issues that we were having, but then optimizing our game plan to better suit the nature of Kindred and how we wanted to play. And what you're seeing now is this session that really showed that learning come to fruition. And I'll put a third-person replay of it. You can see the healing on the Conqueror. Something we discussed greatly was everyone's memeing the Conqueror healing, forgetting the fact that it gives you bonus adaptive force. Yeah, so you get stronger in the fight even if you don't get any healing. But the healing from the Conqueror here allowed him to get a 2v1 win. He had 0 healing before, he had like 48 healing or 56 healing afterwards, and he lived with like 10-15 HP. So you can do the calculations, you see the clips on your screen. Really potent use of Conqueror, much better mechanics, an excellent game plan of a buff Grump invade on a weaker enemy jungler. Whereas earlier in the season, he was doing this against whatever jungler he can beat, it doesn't really matter who the jungler is, and he would just die. or he would tunnel vision and flash and die. And very frequently he would just, well, die. And essentially always was playing from behind, but now the game planning is getting better, the hunting is getting better, we're optimizing our Red Raptor's grump, not ideally, but we're doing it. We're doing the 4 campers, the 3 campers, we're tracking where the enemy jungler is going better, we're optimizing our ganking pathing better, and you know, that's one of the biggest things you need when you're playing a carnivorous style jungler, and I have just a video for you. Obviously the full sessions for his whole year are on the Patreon as well, but I'll link a carnivore style jungler below so you can understand exactly what we mean by this. But fixing these mechanical mistakes by breaking down how to optimize your champion, auto attacks, combos, order of use spells, what the enemy jungler or champion wants to do, and then making sure that that fight that we're taking is the fight we want anyway. Those 2 things, crucial for allowing him to snowball better, and because he was winning games when he was behind anyway, all of a sudden he has a lead. That was easy then basically. He was used to playing with 5,000 gold, now he'd have 9,000 gold, so it kind of amplified his ability to snowball games. And if you are enjoying this video, please consider leaving a like. It really does help. Smite the like button if you want to, but either way, it helps the algorithm. Thank you for watching. The third tip we had here was consistency and having KP relevancy from a gold 4 Kane in January who is now plat 4, plat 3 Kane, and we had a bit of an MMR hiccup due to work and stress, and now that MMR hiccup is being fixed. Now, as all of you know, when you have a bad MMR, true, it's always your own fault. Losing streaks, always your own fault because you don't stop, you don't play best of 5s. Fixing that is basically, you Google how do I fix it, and then you have someone like me just telling you, consistently winning over time, fixing that mistake and showing that you belong in the elo you're in. And he has now done that over the past few months with fixing that MMR and priming him for a diamond run in Season 13. And what would happen overall with his sessions was that he'd have a really beautiful first clear always. And then he'd always make the right decisions and then look at the KP at 15 minutes and go, well, my form was a little late, but you know, there was no opportunity for me to gank, to fight, to have higher KP, but I have good CS, I have good gold amounts, and it's like, yeah, you do. But the lane is unfeeling your existence. You're okay, but your lane is unfeeling it, and that's where the jungle is interesting. Because you can very easily feel like you made the right decisions and have low KP. It's your laners, it's the enemy jungler. Jungling can always be a bit results based, and in the moment you think, oh, I have 3 decisions I could make, and I chose one of those 3 decisions, and they can all seem correct, but in the end, that one decision that you took was correct for you, but not correct for all of the things, the trifecta, which is 1, getting yourself fed, 2, helping your laners get fed and saving them from themselves, which is always what we have to do, right? And 3 is just making sure that the enemy jungler doesn't get to exist. And if you're preventing the enemy jungler from existing, then he can't affect your lanes. And what we had to focus on was, right, how do we fix this 3-prong approach by basically listing these things every single game, making sure we were doing them. What we did was say, right, first and foremost, play around your ultimate. Secondly, F key usage and information. If we can get more information live and in real time, then we can make better decisions to rotate, get form earlier, and so on. This is not always a very easy thing to balance, farming and ganking, but we were able to do it through carefully breaking down his playstyle and basically taking that passivity by basically giving him a lot of visual cues to look for to get into fights. And a lot of that stemmed from fundamentals of tracking and F key usage, but also basically saying, look, if this happens, you do X, if this happens, you do Y. And those triggers really helped him get more active into lanes. And essentially, this entire concept, all the things that he learned here, was the reason I made this particular video. And again, that will be linked below, so if you want a breakdown of that. But if you're struggling by having, say, low farming and too high KP, or having low KP and too high farming, then this kind of fix, this kind of focus for you for Season 13 will be critical to your own success. And the fourth thing is one of the most important things that basically any single MMR can use, any single rank can use. It is called numbers. It is an all-encompassing concept that I explained to a first-time player who's on the brink of diamond in his first ever season. No joke. Started this year, is about to push for diamond. We have a final session tonight actually after this video is going out. And because he lacks a certain experience for what champions do and the certain ideas of the game that we have in the past to kind of build the foundation of our current, viewpoint of the game, we had to create new triggers to basically look for and learn from. And one of the best ones was when he was getting leads by playing Udyr or by playing whatever, Diana, he would not always find the openings to use said lead in teamfights or skirmishes. So I just basically told him numbers. Every time you're in the middle of the late game, numbers. What does that mean? If I have a 3v2 advantage, I can engage. If I have a 4v1 advantage, I'll engage. If they have 2 in base, 1 top lane, and we have our whole team, I'll engage. It is a great tool for engages, but not necessarily just your Wukongs, your Malphites, your Udyrs, Zyra. I'll flash in, use a full combo on Zyra if I have numbers, use my Zhonya's proc, my team will go, oh, we can go, look at the damages, we can play off of this. And you might not think it happens, but it really does. The art of the engage, the art of using numbers advantage, no matter what champion you are, you could be a Syndra. You just see 1 top, 1 dead, your whole team here. Go in, try and hit a scat of the week. Make sure you're obviously positioning correctly. Don't flash in and die like an idiot, but make sure that you use this concept to get those engages, to get those wins when your team have the numbers advantage. Don't wait for the whole team to group up again before you look for that. Now, the same thing can happen around Baron and Dragon fights. You know, you're all grouped in a pit. 3 people come from the top, 2 people come from the bottom. It doesn't matter which side you go. If you go 5v3, you're good. If you go 5v2, you're good. Just pick a side, ping your team, and make that play. And it will work for you for level 5 dragons, for level 15 team fights. It doesn't really matter. The whole concept of, hey, I have numbers, let me go in, beautiful. And I've started applying this to all my coaching sessions no matter the MMR, because it was always something that holds people back. And finally, I had a session in January and only 1 or 2 sessions with this player. He was a Diamond 4 Kindred, never made Master, been in promos about 100 times. And we had 1 session and he hit Master, plus 400, 500 LP. And you know what it was? It was just a study of micro mechanics. He understood the game reasonably well, but it was about pushing that advantage and using the behavior and positioning and psychology of watching what the enemy champion is doing. And the example you're seeing on your screen is basically was a Kindred against a Karthus, and you have to study the positioning of the Karthus and the laners you're fighting in those really tight moments. Those are the mechanical outplays that allow you, if you have good knowledge, to just snowball leads. Yeah, there's some crossover with the previous point of the Platinum Kindred, but in that situation, that was just about using Kindred. This is about using the enemy against themselves. When they position, when they posture, when they look and move in different directions, what can you do about that? What are they actually trying to achieve with their positioning? And that's the next level, when your champion mechanics become second nature to you so that you can focus on what they're doing and play around that. The best reactivity is the one where you can predict what's going to happen. I'm running away, I know they're going to throw a Blitzcrank hook, I know it's coming, I can prepare to dodge. The other thing was to keep pressing tab to always tracking those CSs to kind of know where they're going to go and head, and that can affect you even in a small situation. If I know Karthus has come from the bottom side, and I know his red camps are up, and he moves even a little bit in that direction, maybe I can use that against him in a very tight micromechanical situation. And these things will happen within 0.5, 2 seconds, really small windows, but if you can mechanically outplay that scenario very quickly with quick calculus, you're going to get a lot of advantages in a PvP sense, which then, of course, if you understand the first point, agency of pushing the map and advantages, you then use that to translate it into counter jungling, better ganking, better objectives, and everything works out for you in the end if you link all of these 5 points together in a nice little coaching loop for Season 12 tips that will help you in Season 13. And as you can see, these are not tips that are going to change based upon the jungle meta. These are things that will be fundamental to you reaching your peak in Season 13, and you can learn them now. You can focus on these things now. You can make sure that you are hitting your peak in pre-season so that your placements are a breeze. But sometimes, despite all of these glorious tips, all your lanes lose, you make mistakes, and you're behind, and those games are just doomed and you cannot win. Or can you? Click the video in the box on the top right to find out exactly, step by step, how you can win every game.